I'm not trying to be funny, it's just part of my personality, but sometimes I get into the zone and I go, and then I realize I'm making this person really uncomfortable. This is very awkward. And the other thing is, I'm a psychology major and I want to be a psychologist, and so I like talking to people about their childhood and why they fear what they fear and why they love what they love. And I'll ask them, I'll say, tell me about your childhood. And sometimes people cry and laugh and sometimes pee themselves just because they're overcome with emotion. No, but I usually like to hope that I have a pretty good gauge of how comfortable people are with me asking them questions like that, but sometimes I'm wrong. And sometimes I will ask a certain question that just hits something, and all of a sudden I've made things uncomfortable, and that's never the goal. I was very sociable and outgoing, and I always talked to whoever was sitting next to me. Like, the idea of not talking to the person next to me was just weird, and I always wanted the window seat, so I usually got the window seat. And I would usually talk in an accent, usually British. You know, I would rack up a bunch of miles because I flew so much, and I would always, you know, when you redeem your miles, you get put on weird flights that are empty and at weird hours. And this one time I flew on this pretty small plane and there were no passengers. It was all flight attendants and me. And I was probably 12 or 13, and it was mainly female flight attendants, and they told me I could sit wherever I want. I sat in the back, and I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and one of the flight attendants was reading my magazine that I had. And she said, "Oh, I hope you don't mind I was reading your magazine." And I said, "No, not at all." And we just started talking, and I started talking to most of them, and we just started talking about the lady stuff. And then they said, how do you do your makeup, and how do you get your eyeliner to look like that? And we started doing each other's makeup, and one of them was like, "You should use this lipstick, like the color would look really good on you." And so we just kind of had this weird lady party on the plane. So I was 11 and I was in therapy, and I had 4 or 5 sessions with this woman, and she pretty consistently from the beginning, at one point I just asked her a question, and I would talk to her about things that I was struggling with, but she started talking to me about her marriage and how her marriage was falling apart. And I just loved talking to people, and so I thought nothing of this, and I would talk to her, and my mom would pick me up, and one day my mom came to pick me up, and my therapist was crying, and my mom said, "Why was your therapist crying?" And I said, "Well, she's going through a really rough time right now." And my mom said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you know, her husband, they're probably going to get a divorce." And she's like, "How do you know that?" I said, "Well, we talk about it." I think this place and this space is filled with a lot of love, and there is a lot of care that goes into things around Everyday Joes, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful space filled with beautiful people. This is a place for conversations, and that's something that I think a lot of people would agree with. And I like having conversations. I like talking to people that I know and people that I don't know, but you know, everything is about conversation.